My Hero Academia is probably coming to an end very soon, thanks to this latest chapter of the series. So, I think by now everybody has probably noticed the symbolism between that final panel with Izuku and Batman. I mean, the images they're basically the same. There's obviously some slight differences, but they're very similar. So, it's clear what Horikoshi is saying, is that Izuku is basically becoming a vigilante. But on top of that, Izuku is taking a new step in his life, and he has left his Hero Academia. Which is fascinating because the title of this series is My Hero Academia. So, because of the latest events, the aftermath of the war, everything that's happened, it seems like Horikoshi is prepping up for a shift into a part 2 of this series. And the reason why I say that is because the title no longer fits the series, because it literally is My Hero Academia, but Izuku's no longer in the academia. And now he's basically just a hero, or a vigilante. And I do wonder if the title of the series is going to shift to that. For instance, let's say My Hero's Journey, or My Hero Vigilante, whatever, My Vigilante. There's so many questions I have, but the point though is it's very clear that's what Horikoshi is implying, is that the series is approaching the point of no return. For instance, a turning point to where either A, the series is going to conclude very soon, or B, we're having a major shift, a tone shift, to where it's now no longer going to be about the school life, it's going to be more about actual hero work on the streets and seeing the true horror of both sides. I feel like that's where Horikoshi is taking the story right now, but also he's wanting to focus a lot on Izuku, because let's be honest here, up to this very point of the story, Izuku has been lacking as a main character. As much as I like Izuku as a character, there is definitely some problems that people have mentioned that does make a lot of sense over the years, technically, as Izuku as the MC of My Hero Academia. He hasn't really gotten a hell of a lot of development. And now seeing that the story is shifting focus onto him, this will allow us to see Izuku really change as a person and kind of fit into the role as the number one hero, the greatest hero the world has ever seen. I am looking forward to that, because Izuku has definitely been needing a lot of development, and I'm liking the direction the story is going. We need to focus on him, because even though I love all of the side characters, supporting characters, Endeavor's arc, Hawks, Dabi, I love seeing, what happened with Twice, Toga, Shigaraki, etc. We need to focus on Izuku. Izuku is important, too. And he has been technically kind of out of the spotlight a lot for like 100 chapters now. So this is definitely very, very needed, because we've had so much focus and spotlight on the villain side. It's time to really focus on Izuku and trying to figure out what he truly wants to be at the end of his journey, and how he actually approaches to be the greatest hero the world has ever seen. Speaking of our main character Izuku now taking the spotlight, I would like to mention the fact that just how over 100 chapters ago, Endeavor stepped into the spotlight and he's like, just watch me. And then from that point onward, we've been kind of following Endeavor's story with Hawks and how he's changed as a person. And it's fitting that the chapter that is now shifting to Izuku's perspective, Endeavor says something in front of everyone. He's like, just watch me. So just as how he began his journey as our MC for a little bit, and now ends with him saying the very exact thing. And I find it very fitting that he just announces to everyone, like, yes, what he's done and everything. It's a good conclusion to Endeavor's arc we've gotten for so long, and I appreciate everything Horikoshi has done with Endeavor as a character. So anyways, let's talk about that final panel of the latest chapter of My Hero Academia. So, as I briefly mentioned, there is a lot of symbolism there. And one of the biggest things that you can take away from it is how that final image is actually a reference to the first page of My Hero Academia, the manga. For instance, if you literally go back, I'll show it on screen, and go to the first chapter, you will see a happy Izuku smiling, looking up, and you see how he's talking about how there's a giant villain that's fighting a hero at that point, and then we're introduced to Mount Lady. And everything about this scene is literally the exact same thing besides just the tone of the page we got within the latest chapter. Izuku is looking down instead of up, he looks very depressed instead of happy, and he's looking at a giant villain, the same, but you don't really see any hero there to save the day, and there's no crowd really watching because everything is basically destroyed and all that, so there's really no infrastructure anymore. So there is a lot to really take away from this chapter, and just look at the entirety of My Hero Academia. This is the theme that's been building up since the very beginning, and this is what we're seeing now, the repercussions of what Shigaraki did, what All For One did, why All Might stepping down was so important. Everything that's been building up since the very beginning of the story finally came to the point now to where we can see like how Izuku will obtain the title, and also the theme of everything being ripped apart because it wasn't good to begin with, and how the hero system was really just creating more problems than good. So I think that this is just fantastic to see the entire aftermath of everything, and seeing who really kind of takes the spotlight, shines, and really is a true hero, and those that just want to be wannabes for fame and glory. And that is something I want to talk about. I want to talk about Mount Lady. Mount Lady is a really, really important character actually in all of this, because she is technically one of the first heroes we're introduced to in My Hero Academia, and the way we're introduced to her, she only wants fame and popularity. That's literally what she wants when she is first introduced as a character. And throughout majority of the series, she's still like that. But in, the latest arc we've gotten, she's went through a lot of change as an individual. She has definitely become a better person and a better hero. And seeing how she's still, we can see even in a panel, putting back on her hero gear and stepping up and not giving up being a hero just goes to show her determination. And it no longer is about that popularity and that fame anymore. It's more of she does want to save people. She wants to make people be reassured and safe once again. I do appreciate that very subtle development of Mount Lady, because it, once again, it goes back to the first chapter and how much her perspective has shifted from what she was to where she's at now. And because I couldn't just mention Izuku's change and not also mention like another character like Mount Lady that was also shown in that exact same chapter, I appreciate that. Horikoshi Sensei, you're doing a fantastic job with very subtle things like that. So, back into the main issue at hand, I want to talk about how Izuku is the final one-for-all user. This one is very interesting, because with the latest chapters that we have seen now, Izuku is potentially the last one that will carry the mantle of One for All, because the people that are quirkless are basically almost non-existent at this point. Many generations have passed, and an issue like Izuku without having a quirk, it's something so rare now, it would be very hard to find someone that would actually be able to get One for All, because from what we found out, One for All is probably something that can only be passed down now to those that do not have a quirk. Because if they actually have a quirk, it'll shorten their lives and you won't be able to use the full potential of what it actually has to offer. So, because of everything, we now know that finding a successor is not so easy. You can't just pass it down. It also lets us know if Togata would have gotten One for All, he probably would die a very early death. So, it's a lot to really take in right now. Izuku is really shouldering a heavy burden, and the burden is even greater now than it once was, because he believes in his heart he is the last person that will be able to carry on the legacy of One for All. He didn't ask for it, but he has it, and now he has to carry it on, and either One for All's legacy will die with him, or he'll manage to accomplish it and, die a great hero of old age. We'll see where that goes. The point I'm trying to say is that Izuku is in a very difficult spot now. Nobody can take on his power. Not because, the quirk doesn't want to give it to others, it would kill others. It's gotten too strong to the point now, only quirkless individuals can actually get it. And it was only thanks to luck why Izuku was even able to get it in the first place. So it really says a lot about that. But, anyways, I want to just say that everything that Horikoshi is setting up here is fascinating because it's gearing up for a more darker tone. I feel like we're about to probably see something very similar to either like Naruto Shippuden or what's happening with Chainsaw Man. One of the two is going to happen right now. For instance, we're going to have, like, the series probably go on break for a little bit after this probably mini arc we're getting into, and then it's going to come back with a continuation, maybe an added-on title, or it's going to shift magazines. One or the other is going to happen, because at this point right now, My Hero Academia has definitely become darker. It is no longer that lighthearted series it once was. We can definitely see that thanks to the last arc. There's so much that's happened. It's incredibly dark, and that's kind of why Chainsaw Man had to switch magazines, because it was getting very dark. Now, do I think My Hero Academia's got to that level? No. However, there might be a possibility that My Hero might actually shift magazines soon if Horikoshi wants to demonstrate a more darker atmosphere and tone to the world, because the world is definitely reaching to a point to where it's falling apart. And the infrastructure is basically non-existent. It's anarchy. It's literally everything the Joker technically would want with the way the world is kind of right now in My Hero Academia. So, I think there is some possibility that the series will shift magazines. If it doesn't, it's definitely going to get a part 2. One or the other is definitely going to happen, because, once again, the title does not fit anymore. It does not fit what the story is anymore because of Izuku actually straight up just leaving UA. Which that's a whole other thing to talk about. So UA, now that Izuku is officially left, this makes us wonder what's going to happen to the other characters and how they're really going to react to Izuku's decision. Izuku obviously left them, every individual one there, part of his class, a note. He left them the reason why. He didn't leave them in the dark. He told them why he had to leave. Which, that right there, I appreciate so much. Words cannot even describe how much I appreciate how Izuku explained why he left. Instead of leaving them in the dark and not letting them know, he told them why he left, the reasoning by it, and, everything about it. He didn't try to hide anything. He just straight up told him. I appreciate that, because there's just so many series that do that, leave that very vague, and then you have the characters that are left behind get very upset with the main character or another character because they left them, and they're like, why'd you do that? And then there's some animosity, there's some infighting, and I'm glad that Horikoshi got around that. He's not using that typical cliche for Izuku's disappearance and why he left. Everybody knows now, but now they gotta, kind of understand the repercussions. Izuku isn't running away from being a hero. He isn't running away because he feels like he's not fit to be a hero. He's getting away because he wants to protect them. He's doing the very thing that he's always done. He wants to protect those around him, protect everyone, and be cool while doing it as well. So I appreciate that so much. That's another layer that did not need to be there, but Horikoshi went out of his way to do it because it gives us so much more weight going forward with the series and how the character's going to react to Izuku and how they feel like they need to get stronger if they want to continue being a hero to be able to help him out. Which, that's another thing. With Izuku dropping out, I do wonder how many of our students, our characters a part of Class A, is actually going to drop out of the hero course. We haven't really seen anything yet, but it's very, very possible one of them are going to drop out. Like, Mina might drop out, Jiro might drop out. We don't really know. Like, there is a few characters that could actually drop out going forward because of everything. We already know now that there's so many heroes that have basically just signed off and like, we're not dealing with this, we're not being a hero, it's not worth this and all that, and they've just left hero work completely. It's no longer what they once thought it was, fame, fortune, etc. It's very dangerous now. There's a huge risk. They don't want to actually do that, which makes sense. They should prioritize their lives. That's a message also My Hero Academia has definitely wanted to present since the beginning of the story. But at the very least right now, though, because of the lack of heroes in the pro side, there also might be the kids that get fearful because of that and might want to back out as well. They're like, if the adults are doing it and the pros are doing it, what chance do we have? And this kind of leads into the direction where you're going to see vigilantes start to take the major spotlight. Individuals that were never able to actually get their hero license, probably stepping up to the plate and actually becoming heroes. Example, the characters, Pop Step and all of them from My Hero Academia Vigilante, those characters might appear very soon. They might even help out Izuku. Who really knows? The point I'm saying is that vigilantes are going to be the main shining focus now, and the heroes are really just going to have to be dealing with making society feel safe once again. And And that is a huge hurdle to overcome because it's not something that could just be fixed in a day. It's not going to be fixed by even taking down All for One and taking down Shigaraki. The overall distrust and dissatisfaction in the entirety of the heroes is already at such a level to where the villains that we already know of no longer matter. Just things are destroyed to a point to where even if All for One and Shigaraki never continued what they're doing and they were defeated next chapter, society still would not be at peace because of just everything that has happened. It would be in turmoil. There has to be a way to make people feel safe once again. That's what they need to do. But at this time, there isn't any way. And that's what Izuku is obviously trying to find. Now, speaking of which, I want to go back to the UA students, since I briefly, was talking about that. We have Ochiko. She talks about how she feels really upset with Izuku, not because of just him leaving, but because she realizes the burden he's carrying. Because something that Ochiko has been learning and kind of what her objective has been in these latest chapters is that she wants to become a hero that saves heroes. And seeing Izuku leave like he is to save all of them, she can understand the burden that he's probably feeling on his shoulders. He feels alone, isolated, and he is the only one that could do these things. And she realizes that he is under so much stress and pain right now. You can even see it in Izuku's reflection and like the way he looks at the final page of the chapter. And Ochiko doesn't want him to feel like that. She wants to be there to save heroes that are in a difficult spot. And so she's sad that she can't do that. There's someone that literally is out of her reach now that she cannot help because he's going on his own journey. I do like this. I do like seeing Ochiko's development, how it's kind of shifted over from just money and wanting to help out her parents to actually wanting to help out other heroes and save them. And another thing as well, before I kind of wrap up the video, I do think that getting to see Izuku's determination of wanting to save Shigaraki goes completely well with his character, and I think anyone that's actually against Izuku trying to save Shigaraki hasn't really caught on to the main message of what My Hero Academia is about, or at least what Izuku's character is about. The whole reason why there's so much evil in this world is because the heroes create villains. When they throw them away, lock them up, or whatever, it creates turmoil, it creates issues, and if you kill a villain, it creates more rage and anger, and if you treat the villains as less of a person, then it's just going to cause more havoc. So, example, if Izuku didn't treat a villain the same way as he would treat a civilian or a hero, then he wouldn't actually be a good hero. He wants to become a hero that saves everyone regardless of their stance. That's another thing I appreciate. And so, that is the reason why him wanting to save Shigaraki makes so much sense. It fits in line with the character, it fits in line with the theme of My Hero Academia, and why there's so many issues right now is because of that distinction of how people don't treat villains the same way as like they would treat another hero or as a civilian. And I mean, it makes sense. They are causing a lot of havoc and they're doing a lot of evil and bad, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to save them. You're a hero at the end of the day. You can't draw a line in the sand and say, I can't save a villain. You also need to save villains as well. You don't draw that line. The line is that you save everyone. You either don't save anyone or you save everyone. That's the point. But I want to leave it at that, though. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you got this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.